Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Touchdown Tech. This is episode 8. This episode is sponsored by Holston Gases. Give them a call for all your propane needs. Adam, how you feeling today, man?
Well, I'm feeling pretty good here on a Wednesday. A little delayed on the episode because we've had a lot of technical difficulties, but we're here. We're getting the episode out. We want to get it out to the fans. We don't want to skip a week, so
yeah,
we're trying to get it done.
Yeah, we're trying to get it done. It really wouldn't be the Touchdown Tech podcast without technical difficulties here and there. But like I keep saying, a little adversity that just makes teams better.
Yeah,
so that's what we're doing. Got a little adversity. We're just gonna push right through it.
Let's talk about a little adversity. Tech beat Charleston Southern 27-13. Not the flashy game that we're used to seeing from Tech. Not offensively. Defensively, that's still what we expect out of them. But just offensively, they're usually putting up 40 to 60. It feels like.
Yeah.
So a little slower paced, but we talked about the weather and stuff like that, maybe like affecting how they play. You said it was like a kind of a muggy day.
It was a muggy day. There was rain the entire game. There was rain. I could tell the wind was really in effect too because it was just blowing really hard, and those were just not ideal football conditions.
Yeah.
Not to say that helped or hurt Tech or Charleston Southern, either one. You still play wherever you can. But the stadium, it just felt kind of eerie. It was kind of a smaller stadium. It didn't really look like an OVC stadium, or I think they're technically in the Big South. Charleston Southern is, but Tech took care of business. They got the win. They're 3-0 in conference play now. That's what's the most important part. They still ran the ball really well. Kakoa had 72 yards on the ground from the quarterback position, so that was really cool. He led the team in rushing for back-to-back weeks, back-to-back games.
Yeah.
The running backs had a pretty good day too. You saw a lot of different guys get carries. Aiden Littles had a pretty good day. He had about 10 yards a carry. He had a run where he went left and then he reversed field and went to the right all the way to the other sideline and scored. And he probably ran a total of like 80 yards in between that one run that was only like a 20-yard run, but he scored off of it. Just a great individual play.
They got a monster.
Oh, Aiden Littles is good, man. I'm glad to have him back fully healthy. He got nicked up a little bit against Davidson. I think he had to leave the game.
Yeah. But
he's back and better than ever. He just makes plays. Aiden Littles is a playmaker. He looks really good at the running back position. He's got quick feet. He's fast. He just looks like he's been playing the position for a long time.
Yeah, Tech has a lot of great running backs. They really stick to the running back by committee mentality. They like to keep fresh legs in the game. So usually you don't have, monster games. No guys getting 20 carries and 100-something yards and 2 touchdowns. But all these guys put in the effort every single week. They all get their carries. They all make an impact on the game.
It helps the entire running back room out, too, when you can split those carries up and keep guys fresh. And they kind of run that mentality on all the positions, you know what I mean, with the depth that they have. But it's really good for the running back room to not have one guy getting 30 carries a game. You know what I mean? That takes a toll on a running back after a while. And so it's good that they have guys that they can shift in and out. Kadarius Jennings had a touchdown this past weekend. Obi Sani scored again. Ever since he's came back, he's had an immediate impact. So I can't say enough about that running back room. They're week in and week out, they're producing.
Yeah, absolutely. And with it being such a gloomy kind of game, harder conditions than normal, being in a strange place, you said it felt like a high school stadium.
Yeah, it just didn't feel right.
What does every coach say when they get into an environment like that, when they get into weather conditions like that? What do they say? They say, hold that rock and run it.
Yeah.
And that's what Tech did. Not the flashiest day passing-wise, but they didn't need it. They got the job done, and they handled business, and that's all you really need from this team. Because, they like to put up the stats. We know that. Mm-hmm. They like to put up points. They like to lead we know they lead the OVC, Big South, in points. They lead the FCS,
They lead the entire country in points per game.
That's insane.
They score, and they score fast. They score often. Tech's offense is extremely explosive. It's every drive. You really expect them to score every single drive as a fan or whatever you want to call it. But, the passing game wasn't really just clicking on all cylinders. I think Kakoa would probably like to have a couple of those passes back. But that's no knock to him as a player. The guy is leading the OVC in passing touchdowns by far, by like 6 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's second in passing yards behind Lindenwood's guy, who we'll talk about in a minute. He's only 6 yards behind him. So, statistically, he's the best quarterback in the OVC. I think he's the best quarterback in the OVC by far, beyond just the stats. You just watch him play, and there's just nothing that he can't do. Like I said, he led the team in rushing this past Saturday.
Yeah, he is I think he's by far one of the best quarterbacks in the FCS.
Mm-hmm.
He's a monster. We saw that last year with that completion percentage, him leading in that. So this dude, he's the player. He's a baller. He could probably play at the next level, really, if we're being honest.
I think so, too. I think maybe his size would probably hurt him, if anything else. But as far as, like, just true talent on the football field production, I think he could make it one day if he continues to work at it. We got a lot of football left to play in this season. They got Lindenwood this Saturday. We'll talk about them later on. But going back to the Charleston Southern game, Maury Sullivan scored a touchdown in the first quarter. That was the only passing touchdown they scored. It was kind of in the back of the end zone. He made a pretty good play on the ball, so he continues to have success. That's been a pretty big addition in the portal for Tech, for sure. And then defensively, it was kind of just a group performance overall. You saw Aaron Swafford get an interception. He kind of they were trying to check it down, I think, is what they were trying to do, and he just dove at the ball and just kind of corralled it as he was going to the ground. So just a good individual play by Swafford. Tim Kuchers had a pretty good day. He had a bunch of tackles. I think he led the team in tackles, and he had a sack as well from the safety position, which is impressive. So it was just kind of a collective effort. They had 4 sacks total.
Yeah.
I think Ethan McLaurin got back there, and he's a guy who we need to mention really quick. He has produced every single week since being back. He came back against TSU, and ever since he came back, man, 94 has been in the backfield the whole time.
Yeah. I think you talked about they had 4 sacks. They also had 9 tackles for loss and 9 pass breakups. That's big.
Yeah.
9 pass breakups. That secondary was flying around the field breaking up balls. So I think that's probably why Charleston Southern struggled so much passing wise, because they did by far worse.
Yeah.
So I think our secondary really shining today.
Yeah, I agree. You meant Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday.
No, I did the same thing all the time. But the secondary played pretty well. I agree with that. The run defense was, again, dominant. I think they only allowed like 60 yards on the ground, which is very impressive. It's like I keep saying, week in and week out, they keep shutting these teams down in the run game. That's kind of what they're predicated on. That's what their bread and butter is, stopping the run. Tennessee Tech is, and they continue to do that. And if you can do that, you can win a lot of games.
Oh, absolutely. And they're only allowing like 12 points a game, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
While they're averaging like, I don't even know how many. I know that they, in terms of like points for and points allowed, points for they have about like 300, which is, I think, like double the next best team in the OVC, which is insane. And then defensively, I think we've also doubled that. Like we allow 12, and I think the next team allows like 24 or something like that.
Yeah, I think they're averaging somewhere around 50 a game, and then 12 on defense. So they're averaging, on average, Tech will beat you 50-12 on an average day.
That's insane. And that's so crazy that we are so much better, I feel like, than everyone else in the OVC. And that's a bold statement, but that is a true statement.
No, really.
It is.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And honestly, like, it's fun to think about. A great day for us is like phenomenal to any other team. A good day for us is exceptional for any of these other teams.
Yeah.
So we are just by far, above everyone else. And I think that's probably why we're leaving the OVC. Let's be real for a second. That's probably why.
Yeah, kind of moving on to bigger and better things. And I like the geographical setup of the Southern Conference better than I knew the OVC. Because just take this week, for example, you're traveling to Missouri to play Lindenwood. You beat them by 30 last year at home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You kind of have to take the good with the bad. With the Southern Conference, you'll be playing teams like ETSU, UT Chattanooga, you know what I mean? A little bit closer to home, in-state rivalries. I like that stuff myself.
The Carolinas, Georgia, Alabama.
That's right.
Got the Virginia Military Institute up in top of Virginia. That's probably the furthest game you'll ever go to.
Yeah.
That's not that bad. Better than going to Illinois.
Yeah. But like you said, no, I mean, Tennessee Tech is better than a lot of teams in the OVC. They're the best team in the OVC by far, statistically, ranking-wise, however you want to slice it. It just shows that the standard has been raised.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Since Coach Wilder got hired, the standard got raised, and it was honestly the Lindenwood game for me last year when I realized this team is just different. They're just wired different.
Yeah.
Because at the time of the game, I think Tech's record was they had won 2 or 3 games total. They were about 2 and 5, 3 and 5, something like that. And most teams in the Fast from Tennessee Tech, when they get to be about 2 and 5, they just kind of slide off.
Slows down.
You know what I mean? It just kind of like, get them next year.
Yeah, the momentum just ceases to be there. They kind of get into that pattern of, it's kind of like a meaningless game, because we can't win anything. We can win the game, but we're not going to get anything from it, so we might as well just go through the meaningless motion of it, and that just kills teams. It really does.
I'll be honest with you, it's kind of harsh to say, but that's what bad teams do.
Yeah.
Good teams, they respond to being 2-5 or whatever and having a rough start to the year. They finish strong. That's what Tech did last year.
Yeah.
They destroyed Lindenwood, and Lindenwood was a good football team. It was a homecoming game for Tennessee Tech, and they welcomed them in and just obliterated them. They ran all over Lindenwood. Everybody was scoring touchdowns. I think if you would have given me the ball and some of them offensive line holes, I probably could have wound up about 70 for the end of the day. I mean, it took me 20 carries, but I got there.
Yeah.
But it was just a thumping completely, and they won that game, and they went on to win several in a row. I think they won the last 5 of the year after that, and then they've won 6 in a row this time. So they're at an 11-win streak right now.
Yeah.
That Lindenwood game started that streak last year.
You talk about that Lindenwood team being good. They're pretty good this year.
I agree with that.
I think it's time to skip on from Charleston Southern. Let's push that to the side until we get back to our favorite segment, Do of the Week.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about Lindenwood. Pretty good passing wise. That's the best you can say for them is they have a really good passing game. Their quarterback,
Nate Glantz.
He's pretty mobile, ain't he?
He's very mobile. He's second in the OBC in rushing touchdowns at the quarterback position. And I know for a fact he's leading the OBC in passing yards. He's 6 yards above Kakoa Vesperis.
Yeah.
So he's a playmaker. He's a problem. You definitely have to game plan around him because he can hurt you in both ways. Yeah,
dual threat quarterbacks. They're always they're keeping an eye on the passing game, but in the back of their mind they're always planning an escape.
Mm-hmm.
So we talked about this because we recorded an episode before.
Yesterday.
Yeah, we recorded yesterday and it didn't go as planned, but we talked yesterday about Tech really needs to try to keep him on his toes, and that could be from disguised blitzes, that could be from dropping a D into coverage, that could be safety blitzes, anything to keep this guy, keep his attention split, keep him guessing on what's coming next. That is the important thing when you're going against a quarterback that can run, is you got to keep him in the pocket. So we were talking about they want to contain him. They might want to contain the edge and maybe have a quarterback spy or something like that with Swafford or Gaines.
Yeah.
Something like that, just to keep him on his toes and keep him guessing about if he can leave the pocket.
Yeah.
I think that's really what you have to do is you got to confuse this kid.
No, I agree. Tech's really good at stopping the run. I'm not worried about that per se, but the quarterback run is something that they've really not seen so far this year. I've not seen a lot of quarterbacks take off and run on Tennessee Tech because they've just not been able to.
Yeah, Western Illinois tried.
They tried a little bit.
He was just scrambling out the pocket because he couldn't get a second in there.
Yeah, that was a matter of just like you said, getting away from the pressure.
Yeah.
He really wouldn't go past the line of scrimmage much, but he had success throwing the ball. I'm glad you brought that game up. That was a freshman quarterback who's continuing to play well. He's a good player, but he had success on Tennessee Tech through the air. And this Glantz guy, he can do the same. So it's going to be hard to stop both the aerial attack and what he can do on the ground. Rushing attack-wise, Lindenwood is not – they don't have that just amazing running back tandem like some of these other teams that we've played have had. But like I keep going back to, you're going to have to spy this guy. You're going to have to not let him eat you up on the run, on the ground.
Yeah, I think Tech definitely does need to focus more on, instead of, stacking the box to prevent run, because honestly this team, in terms of running backs running the ball, they only have about 400-ish yards, which isn't, that's nothing crazy.
Yeah.
So you really have to hem in on this guy and keep him in the pocket and keep him contained. You don't want him getting outside, because we know that's when things get a little dangerous. That's when DBs have a hard time covering. That's never good. You don't want to put that stress on them. So keeping this guy contained, I think they focus less on stacking the box and preventing the run and more on trying to set the edge and keep this guy in the pocket.
I agree. I think this is a good time to segment into our sponsorship today, Holston Gases. So we're going to go ahead and get a message from our sponsor really quick. We'll be back in a minute. Holston Gases, located at 1981 North Willow Avenue, is the Upper Cumberland's leader in propane. Whether it's for firing up the grill or for welding something together, Holston Gases will provide that long-lasting flame for whatever the task may be. With their computerized forecasting system, you'll always get on-time deliveries and never run out. Call 528-3378 for the best propane gas in the Upper Cumberland. Again, that's 528-3378, or go online at www.holstongases.com for more information. Thanks again to Holston Gases for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. And we're back. Thanks again to Holston Gases for sponsoring this episode. Guys, if you got any propane needs, give them a call. They're the best in the Upper Cumberland.
Yeah, me and you, we love propane, don't we?
We love propane. We like, Hank Hill. We're like Hank Hill.
Yeah, we love Hank Hill.
Yeah, I like that show. Another thing we talked about yesterday that I was kind of beating around the bush, I'm going to go ahead and do it. The hair's getting a little long.
Yes.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it. We got to do something about it.
Okay.
Let's make a deal. I'm going to make a deal with the Tennessee Tech football team right here, right now. I want to cut the hair. Mm-hmm. That's what I want to do. However, I've decided until Tennessee Tech loses a game, I can't cut it.
That's so bold, man.
No, I'm not cutting it. Not until they lose.
For me, that's not a problem because when I grow my hair out, it turns into a fro. I just I'm kind of loose with it. I got a lot of curl, but
mine's not a fro. Mine's kind of a Walmart John Mateer kind of thing. So that's just kind of where I'm at. I want to cut it, like I said, but I'm not going to do it until they lose. That's the agreement. I'm going to go ahead and shake on it with my partner here. That's a solid deal right there.
Absolutely. What are you getting? You getting a buzzing it?
That brings me into my next topic.
Yeah.
If they beat Kentucky, I want to do something special for the team because that would be the biggest win in Tennessee Tech football history.
Yeah.
I don't even have to look at the archives for that. Anyway.
Yeah.
If they do that, which I think is possible, I'll buzz it. I'll buzz it off.
That's insane.
I will buzz it off, and like I said, I don't want to do that either. But I think they deserve a reward.
But you like the buzz cut. You've done it in the past. I mean, you're more comfortable with it than I would be.
I've done it, but I didn't like it. I've regretted it both times. I'll say it that way. But
most dudes regret it.
If nothing else, motivation to laugh at me, so I just think that'd be good for them. And I've been meaning to cut it for a while, so I'm going to go ahead and make that deal right now.
All right. We got that. It's on video. Hopefully the episode actually records this time. So
it'd be nice. I'm probably going to regret that.
Maybe.
But
honestly, it would be worth it to watch Tennessee Tech beat Kentucky.
That's what I was going to say. If they beat Kentucky, I'll gladly buzz the hair. Yeah.
As a Tennessee fan, I like watching anyone beat Kentucky.
Right.
This is one of my favorite pastimes, is watching Kentucky lose.
I agree.
But watching Tennessee Tech do it, that would be a whole different thing.
Yeah.
That would be incredible. I know the campus would be so fired up.
It'd be buzzing. That would definitely put the program on the map for sure and would finally get some recognition to the Tennessee Tech football team because I just feel like the narrative for Tennessee Tech, you don't think of them as an athletics university.
No.
You just don't, especially not a football university.
No.
But they should be viewed as that, at least for this year, because they're undefeated. They're one of the best teams in the FCS. They've won 11 in a row. I mean, what more do you have to do to get your name on the map?
I don't know. I don't know, really.
Got to go to Lexington and win, I guess.
Yeah, maybe. But hopefully we see Tech, get their name out there. Hopefully we'll see them in the playoffs because right now they are sitting at number 8 in both the regular poll and the coaching poll.
That's right.
So that's big.
They dropped one spot in the coaching poll. I don't really know what the explanation for that is. Even though you won a game,
you don't score 40 1 week, and all of a sudden these coaches think you're not as good.
Yeah, I think some of the coaches would like to play this team, and they'd find out how good we are.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I think this is a good time to segment into Dude of the Week. What do you think?
I think this is a good time.
This is an interesting Dude of the Week.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go first because I want you to go last.
Okay.
Because I like your pick. I've got Aiden Littles this week for Dude of the Week because of his run against Charleston Southern. Like I said, he started out to the left. He reverse field. He was obviously faster than every single player that they had on the field.
Yeah.
He was able to go from one side of the field to the other, scored on the opposite sideline, and it was just an amazing play. He also, he averaged 10 yards a carry.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's insane.
So if he would have got 10 carries, they'd have 100 yards and by those standards. So Aiden Littles, he seems to be back and ready to make some more plays for this offense. So I'm excited for his future, but I think this is his first Dude of the Week.
I think so.
So I wanted to shout him out for sure. But go ahead and give me yours.
Speaking of first Dude of the Weeks, what I'm about to do is slightly unprecedented because in the first Dude of the Week ever, first one ever, I think it was week 3 that we did it.
Right.
You mentioned the entire offensive line. That's all well and good.
I did.
But I want to put a name to these big boys. And one name in particular had an 87 PPF score this week, and that was Logan Weedman.
Big Logan Weedman.
He's been killing it all year. But I was seeing it all over the socials. Everyone was posting it from Tech football to all the players posting it.
Yeah.
That's just incredible. And 87 is a really good game. And I think it's time that we give some of these big boys recognition. Honestly, not because any of these guys didn't put up incredible stats.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of a slower paced game. So I think it's time we look at some down in the trenches and see what these big boys were getting up to. And Logan Weedman, he was getting up to some good stuff.
Yeah, Logan, man, Weedman's been playing good all year, in my opinion. He's an exceptional player. He's been in the program for a few years now, and so he's a guy that's, been able to. He's been with Tech for a while, and that you love players like that. You know what I mean? That have stuck with the program, regardless of the adversity, and regardless of the tough times. He's gotten to see the complete turnaround of Tech football. So that's really cool. And, you root for a guy like that.
You do.
And
you do.
I root for all the offensive linemen because I was a former offensive lineman myself, specifically an offensive tackle.
Yeah.
And every time I watch 73, he's either got a hold of somebody in pass protection and they're just not going anywhere. I mean, they're just at a stalemate. Yeah. Or he's grabbing somebody and putting them in the dirt.
Yeah.
Throwing
them down.
So I love that. He's got a mean streak to him, and he's an absolute technician in pass protection. So big shout out to Logan Weedman and the whole offensive line as always.
Yeah. I wish, because I've dug through, what Tech posts for stats and ESPN and all that.
Yeah.
I haven't seen anywhere where they record sacks allowed and pancakes.
I know.
So I would love to see that. I would love to see what these big boys are getting up to. I want to see how many pancakes they're getting.
I agree. That would be interesting to see at the end of the year who has the most pancakes of the 5.
Yeah, we'll see what we can find on that, see if we can find any sources for that. But
we may have to go back and watch every film. Go back and watch every play for the entire year and just tally them up ourselves.
Well,
that'd take a long time. We'd have to get paid for that or something. I don't do that for free. But this is going to do it for episode 8 of Touchdown Tech. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Thanks again to Holston Gases for sponsoring this episode, and we'll catch you guys next week.